So for this week or for today's lesson, okay, or for this week's lesson, this module teaches the skills needed to gather, analyze, and organize information and present the results and findings in a tabular and graphical forms. Now, basically, yung focus ng lesson for today is how to conduct a research. Now, why do you need to why it is included in the topic ng programming 3111 because part of the lesson din ng previous meetings or weeks is that how are you going to come up with a solution pag mayroon kayong na-encounter na problem or system problem sa isang company. Say for example, kayo ay naatasan na mag-resolve ng isang program, ng isang glitches or bugs sa isang program or technical error. So definitely you need to research, right? Though depende sa klase ng error or system error. Yan, okay? Or sometimes inatasan ka ng inyong manager or supervisor na mag-research ng isang system. Say for example, yan. So you need to know, okay? You must know ano ba yung mga skills na kailangan on how are you going to conduct a research. Okay? So research methods and techniques, writing reports, and effective communications are also discussed in this module. Now, specifically, ito yung mga objectives. Number one, study, gather, and process data. Number two, analyze, organize, and interpret gathered information. And number three, present findings and recommendations. So I think meron kayong subject na research for this semester. So I'm sure may idea na kayo nung lesson or this nung topic for today. Right? So yeah. So this section covers topics on research methods, types of research, the research process, significance of a research, importance of effective communication, and writing a report. So importante siya bilang estudyante because most of your subject must must ask you to submit a research. So, paano ba gumawa ng isang research? Now, kahit anong field, no, be it engineering, information technology, computer science, social science, economics, professionals do conduct research. Importante siya. Okay? So, bakit siya importante? Ano yung significance niya? So, proceed tayo sa mga susunod na slides. Okay. So first is we are going to define what is a research. So pag sinabi nating research, it is defined as an organized study. Pag sinabi nating organized, meron siyang structure, okay? Meron siyang process, okay? Para makapag-conduct ng isang research. So that's why sabi dito, it is an organized study wherein the one conducting the study, which is the researcher, okay, defines a problem, identifies the research questions, formulate a hypothesis. Pag sinabi natin hypothesis, it's an intelligent guess, no? Gathers, analyze, and presents data, makes deductions, and reaches a conclusion. So mag-isip kayo class, bilang IT, para saan ba yung research? Okay. Kasi ang focus ng IT more on system. Kung ikaw naman programmer, more on programs. Okay. Kung ikaw naman ay computer engineer, more on uh, digital circuits. Okay? But even if iba-iba yung mga field, okay? Sabi ko nga kanina, okay, dapat pa rin mag-conduct ng research. That's why baga we have innovations. No? Nakakapag-invent tayo ng mga gadgets, devices, systems, nakakapag-innovate tayo ng gadget systems, programs, okay? Technology, okay? Through research. So, importante ang research. Without research, there would be no invention, there would be no innovation. Okay? So, yeah. So, the main objective of the research is to find a solutions to a problem and add to the existing body of knowledge for future advancements and improvements. So, that's why kanina nasabi ko na magkaiba klase ang invention sa innovation. Invention is original na pag-produce ng isang product or ng isang system or ng isang gadgets or ng isang technology. However, pag sinabi natin innovation based doon sa current technology na meron ka, okay, nakapag-provide ka or nakapag-develop ka ng technology or na-enhance mo or na-improve mo yung isang system, gadgets, or technology. So, there's a difference between innovation and invention. So, for you to be able to conduct those, kailangan mo ng research. So, sabi nga, research is you have to find a solution to a problem. That's so importante yung pag-determine ng research problem. Okay. So, what makes people do research? What will they get from writing a research? Now, ito yung mga reasons bakit kailangan natin mag-conduct ng research. Number one is, some people conduct research to earn a degree and enjoy its benefits. That's why may mga tao class na, may mga professionals na nagpo-pursue ng kanilang academic degree. Like say for example, after their bachelor's degree, nag-conduct sila or nag-enroll sila for master's or doctoral. Okay? So, or sometimes they um, enroll for apply for scholarship, okay, para sa isang research, and then mayroon siyang equivalent na say for example monetary or sometimes privileges. Yeah. Okay. So number two, to solve a challenging problems which remains unsolved. Okay. Say for example, ikaw bilang IT students, gusto mong gumawa ng isang system na um, nakakapag-generate ng ganitong results, say for example. So, for you to be able to do that, you have to conduct a research. Okay? To do some creative work, yan. That's why we have to conduct a research. Number four is to serve the society and contribute to the body of knowledge. Um, Usually class, para say for example, you pursued your bachelor's degree, say for example, BS in Information Technology, one of the requirement is for you to come up with a capstone. Capstone is a research, a kind of research, no? Na kailangan makapagawa kayo ng isang system, ng isang information management information system, or say for example, gumawa ng isang or i-apply yung knowledge nyo sa information technology which will contribute sa field ng information technology. That's why importante yung research. That's why baga part ng curriculum ng isang degree ay research. Partial requirement siya. Okay? So, hindi lang naman sa field ng information technology, but syempre, society. Say, for example, ikaw ay nag-aral ng engineering. Say, for example, computer engineering, and nakapag-develop ka ng device na, say, for example, yung mga blind, okay, nakagamit sila ng say, for example, ng computer, okay, with the help of that device na na-develop mo. So, hindi lang yung engineering, field ng engineering ang mag-contribute, but yung society itself. Very applicable to doon sa mga blind, kung yun ang gusto mo. Okay, so, importante yung research. And then, the last one is to earn respect from others. Okay? So, importante yung pag-conduct ng research. Okay? So, we have here a figure wherein it illustrates the whole process of research. Okay? So, meron ditong figure. So, yung pinaka nasa taas is define research problem. So, basically, pag tayo ay magkakandak ng research, ano ba yung problem? Ano ba yung kailangan i-address? Okay? Para saan ba yung research mo? Okay? So, say for example, you want to come up with a payroll system. So, basically, yun yung gusto mong i-address. Okay? Kumbaga, i-automate mo yung payroll system ng isang company. That's the problem. So, you want to come up with a payroll system that will automate its process. Okay? So, yan. So, after nun, identify mo yung problem. Say, for example, itong company na to, marami silang reklamo when it comes to their payroll because hindi tama yung pag-compute, hindi included yung benefits, ano pa ba, hindi nakapag-generate ng payslip, yan. So, these are examples of problems, okay, when it comes to system, payroll system. So, after ma-identify yung problem, you're now going to what? Review the concepts and theories. Ano ba yung theories dyan? Pwedeng gamitin. Say, for example, systems theory. Okay? So, you have to what? Research on the payroll system because payroll is a system. Okay? Hindi lang siya kumbaga magko-compute ng salary ng isang empleyado, marami siyang interconnected na elements or factors na kailangan mo i-consider. Okay? And then, review previous research findings. Ibig sabihin, para makagawa ka ng isang payroll system, you have to what? Check on other related literature or studies. So that's why maghahanap ka, ano ba yung mga nagawa ng mga payroll system? Ano ba yung mga features nila? Para pag ginawa mo yung payroll system na gusto mo din, okay, magbe-base ka doon. Okay, okay, etong payroll system ko dapat makapag-generate siya ng payslip, makapag-compute ng deductions, makapag-generate ng salary ledger, yan. Okay, so doon mo makikita na ano yung mga pagkakaiba-iba ng mga iba't ibang payroll system na nagawa na. So that's why you have to what? Importante yung pag-review ng literature and conducted studies related dun sa napili mong pag-aralan. Okay? Formulate hypothesis kung applicable siya. Okay? So pag sinabi natin hypothesis, it's an intelligent guess, no? Yan. Okay? Design research. Ano bang methodology, ano bang research design ang gagamitin mo? Qualitative ba, quantitative ba, experimental? Yan. So after mong may determine yung research design, you are now going to what? Collect the data. Ano bang data pag sinabi natin data? Okay. Say for example, ang gusto mong gawin is payroll system. Ano ba yung mga data na kailangan? First is yung employee, syempre. Okay? Yung salary nila. Okay? And then yung attendance nila. Dapat alam mo kung anong oras ba yung mga pasok, in and out, log in ng bawat empleyado. Okay? Yung mga benefits nila. SSS, pag-ibig, yan. This refers to data. Importante to para magawa mo yung payroll system. Okay? And then, based doon sa data, you're now going to analyze it, okay? Interpret and report, okay? For you to come up with the proposed system, payroll system. So, meron dito sa figure na F, wherein pag sinabi natin F is feedback, double F is feedback forward. Okay? Ibig sabihin, it's a process. It's a cycle, kumbaga. Kaya nga siya may feedback kasi cycle siya. Okay? Kasi after mong ma-generate yung report, okay, pupunta ka doon ulit sa problem. Na-resolve ba yung nakuha ba o tama ba yung nagawa ko ba ng maayos? Okay, yung na-address ko ba doon sa system yung mga na-identified kong problem? So that's why based doon sa result, okay, so importante yung feedback sa isang research. Kasi sometimes, sometimes nangyayari na mali yung problem, okay? Or tama naman yung problem, pero mali yung na-generate na result, okay? So, yan yung, this illustrates, or this figure illustrates the whole process on how are you going to conduct a research, okay? So, yan. So, research methods, okay? It comes in different flavors. So, depende sa klase ng research na meron. Okay? So, number one, types of research is descriptive versus analytical. From the word descriptive, ibig sabihin describe. Okay? So, descriptive research aims to provide a description of the current status of an event being studied. Kaya nga sabi ko kanina, descriptive means describe. Ibig sabihin, you're going to what? Describe the status of a certain event. Okay? Yan. So the researcher conducting this type of research has no control over the variables. He can only report what happened or what is currently happening. Okay? So basically, descriptive is you describe what is currently happening dun sa venue mo or kung saan ka man, ano man yung klase ng research mo. Okay? So that's descriptive. Pag sinabi natin variables, ito yung kung ikaw ay gagawa ng isang payroll system, ang variables dito ay yung mga say for example, benefits, yung attendance, yan. This refers to the variables of your study. Bakit sinasabing no control? Kasi wala ka naman talagang control doon sa variables na yun because yan ay specific doon sa inyong venue ng pinag-aaralan mo. Okay? Kasi say for example, gagawa ka ng payroll system, hindi mo naman hawak yung salary ng isang empleyado. Okay? Kukuha ka lang ng data. Okay? So yan. Analytical research requires the researcher to use readily available facts and information to analyze, assess, and evaluate a material. So pag sinabi natin analytical research, okay, ito naman ay nagbe-base doon sa facts, okay, data, okay, kung anong meron doon sa venue ng iyong pinag-aaralan. Okay? So that's descriptive versus analytical. We also have applied versus fundamental. Pag sinabi natin applied research, it is concerned in solving a problem that the society or an organization is facing. Say, for example, yung example ko kanina, ang problem is a payroll system. Yan. So, yun yung problema ng isang company. Right? That's applied. So you want to come up with a payroll system based on sa na-encounter nilang problem. Pero pag sinabi natin fundamental research, it covers generalization and formulation of a theory. So you come up with your own theory. Okay? Di ba marami tayong iba't ibang theory. Pag sinabi natin fundamental, based doon sa mga based doon sa um, um, tawag dito, uh, basis ng inyong theory, you now come up with your own theory. Kumbaga ikaw ay gagawa ng sarili mong theories. Okay? That's actually very applicable to for doctoral, no? Yan, fundamental research. You come up with your own theory or based on the different models na pinagbasehan mo ng inyong research, okay? You come up with your own model. That's basically an example of a fundamental research. Okay? You formulate your own theories or model. Yeah. Okay, so we also have the quantitative versus qualitative. Okay? So pag sinabi natin quantitative research, from the name itself, okay, it uses measurable data that can be converted to statistical data to uncover patterns in research. So basically, pag sinabi natin quantitative, ito yung mga gumagamit ka ng statistical tools kagaya ng weighted mean, frequency, analysis of variance, yan. Quantitative, more on figures ang inyong research. Okay? Pag ikaw ay gumamit ng Likert scale, ano ba yung Likert scale? Ito yung mga survey questionnaire na kagaya ng do you agree, disagree, neutral, maybe, yan. Ibig sabihin, quantitative ang inyong research. Okay? So data collection in quantitative research is more organized than qualitative research since it deals with numbers to quantify opinions, behaviors, and attitudes. Okay? So pag sinabi natin quantitative, it's more on figures. Okay? Take note, meron tayong mga pa-survey like, say for example, ano ba yung perception ng mga Filipinos kay President Duterte? Okay? So, mayroon dyan na highly, ano ba ang pwedeng, say for example, gumamit ng 4-point Likert scale. Excellent, moderate, yan, poor, very poor, yan. Ibig sabihin, quantitative siya, okay, na kind of research. Okay? Kina-quantify yung opinion ng isang tao or perception ng isang tao sa isang bagay. Yan. That's quantitative. Pero pag sinabi natin qualitative research, gains insight on opinions, behaviors, and attitudes through unstructured techniques like interviews, observations, and group discussion. Okay? So from the word qualitative, ibig sabihin, you describe the scenario, the event, the situation ng inyong study. Okay? So paano mo gagawin yung qualitative? Ito yung magkakanda ka ng interview or magkakanda ka ng focus discussion group. Pag sinabi natin focus discussion group, mag-interview ka ng 5. Yan. Okay? That's an example of qualitative. Wala siyang survey questionnaire. Kasi yung survey questionnaire is an example of a quantitative tools siya, statistical tools. Okay? So that's the difference between quantitative and qualitative. So, kung akong tatanungin, for me, mas okay yung quantitative. Kasi based doon sa figures, okay, makakapag-come up ka ng generalization. Okay? Pero pag qualitative kasi, it's more on, kumbaga sabi nga, pag gumawa ka ng isang qualitative research, mauubos ang inyong English. Because, okay, quali, ibig sabihin, you have to describe. So, it's more on, based doon sa interview na nag-gather mo, based doon sa observation, you have to write. Especially pag ang inyong research is historical, say for example, you want to know ano ba yung nangyari nung panahon ng Hapon. Okay? Hindi ka naman pwedeng gumamit dyan ng quantitative. Okay? You have to, definitely, pag historical ang inyong research, ibig sabihin, qualitative research ka agad siya. So you are going to what? Describe what happened nung Japanese War. So describe, hindi siya more on figures. Okay? More on describing what happened. So words siya, okay, qualitative, descriptive, yan. Okay, so we also have the conceptual versus empirical. So pag sinabi natin conceptual research, it is commonly done by philosophers and thinkers to come up with new concepts and interpret theories and abstract ideas in a new way. So this is somewhat related doon sa fundamental versus applied. Pag applied kasi more on science, Pero pag sinabi natin fundamental, it's more on theories, no? So yan. Okay? So conceptual versus empirical. So pag sinabi natin conceptual, based on the theories na pinagbasehan mo ng studies mo, you come up with your own theories then. Okay? We also have the empirical research dependent on observation or experience of the research, which most of the time does not follow a theory. So empirical research is related to applied. More ginagamit naman to sa science. Okay? So yan, mga clinical research, an example of a empirical research. Okay? So we have, or these are the types of research. So doon pa lang sa title, malalaman mo kaagad kung anong klase ng research ang kinakandak mo. Descriptive ba siya? Applied ba siya? Empirical ba siya? Yan. So, yan. Depende. Okay? Okay, so our community has benefited from tons of research. Some of the benefits we get from research are, so para saan yung research? Nasagot na natin doon sa previous slides, pero ano ba yung significance or importance ng research? Number one is, research in the field of economics has dramatically increased over the time, and it has helped us in solving operational problems in both public and private sectors. Okay? Bakit ba importante yung research sa economics? Okay, take note class na nalalaman natin kung merong inflation, merong deflation, okay, or hindi okay yung economy ng isang bansa through research. That's why we have, anong agency, government agency ang namamahala nito? We have the NEDA, the National Economic Development Authority of the Philippines. Sila yung nagkakandak ng research. Ano ba yung mga dapat gawin para ma-improve yung economy ng isang ng bansa? Okay? So they conduct research. Okay? Number two, research is used as basis for government policies where people needs are analyzed. Okay. So another government agency na nagkakandak din ng research is the PSA. Ano yung PSA? Yung dating NSO, Philippine Statistics Office. So doon nalalaman kung ilan ba ang tao meron sa Pilipinas, ilan ba ang employed, ilan ba ang walang trabaho, ilan ang may trabaho, ilan ba yung ganitong edad, okay, ilan ba yung mga seniors ng Philippines, senior citizen ng Philippines, okay? Kasi doon sila nagbe-base ng kanilang policies. Okay? So based doon sa na-gather na data, okay? Okay, lahat, say for example, okay, that's why baga we have this statement na maririnig like sa Japan, okay? Karamihan sa kanila ay mga matanda na. Okay? Kumbaga, kaya nga tinatawag silang, ano ba yung tawag dyan? Aging country, wherein kukonti na lang yung kanilang, kumbaga, nasa age na, say for example, 30s, kasi karamihan sa kanila patanda na. Okay? So, they have to come up with a policy para ma-address yung ganun. Okay? So, yan. That's why baga merong policy na, say for example, sa China, okay? Overpopulated sila. So dahil overpopulated sila based sa kanilang data, sa research nila, okay, nagkaroon sila ng policy na dapat sa isang pamilya, dalawa lang ang anak. Okay, so paano sila nagkaroon ng ganung policy? Based on research, based on the data gathered. Okay, so yan. Number three, research has contributed in the planning and operation issues of different businesses and industries. Now, hindi lang applicable ang research sa government. Research also applies sa private institutions, business, or different companies. Okay? So, importante yung research natin. Okay. So, for to be able to come up with a good research, importante yung communication. No, pag sinabi natin communication, hindi lang siya oral, okay? Hindi lang verbal, but also written. So, in this module, we will focus on communicating effectively through written reports, presentation of data and findings, and through the whole research being presented. Okay? So, take note na yung end product ng isang research is the research itself. Yung hardbound, yung hard copy. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, you should know how to write a research. Hindi lang conduct research. After you conduct your research, you have to write your research. Okay? So, paano ba natin gagawin ang isang research? Okay? Kaya nga sabi doon, it is an organized study. It means it uses a structure. Meron siyang format. Okay? So, we have three elements of a written communication. Number one is the structure. Pag sinabi natin structure, okay, yung format or template or the way you lay down the contents. Okay? That's why baga pagka sa research subject nyo, merong ibibigay na format si teacher. Say for example, we have the preliminary pages, we have the research problem, related literature, yung format itself para magawa mo yung content ng inyong research. Number 2 is the style, the way you write the report. Okay? Take note na ang research ay hindi siya literature. Hindi siya parang it's a technical writing. Hindi siya yung parang kagaya ng gumagawa ka ng love letter. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, dapat ang research ay direct to the point, based on facts, based on figures. Hindi siya parang nanliligaw ka sa isang tao, no? So, magkaiba yun. So, that's style. Number 3 is content. So, content is the facts you are writing about. So, dapat, ang inyong research is based on facts, based on figures or data. Okay. So, writing a good structure required skills and practice. Okay? You should be able to express yourself clearly. Now, the following techniques may help you in writing a well-structured report. So, sa number 1, sabi dito, before writing, make sure your thoughts and purpose are well-defined. Okay? So, paano to gagawin? Dapat, with the topics na naisip mo dun sa research, dapat alam mo para saan ba yung research. Why are you conducting your research? Yan. Number 2, determine the key points, facts to be discussed in the theme. Ano ba yung main factors or points na gusto mong pag-aralan? Yan. Okay? Number 3, design the order of the topics and subtopics in a logical way. That's why importante yung format ng isang research. Okay? Number 4, compose a powerful introduction and conclusion. Usually, class, di ba pag tayo ay magbabasa ng isang research or ng isang report, okay, babasahin natin yung introduction or sometimes executive summary or the abstract. Kasi doon pa lang makita kagad natin kung maganda ang isang research, maganda yung report or maganda yung isang report or isang research. Okay? Number 5, use short paragraphs in sentences. Okay? Number 6, emphasize your key points by using them in your headings and subheadings or subheadings. So these are the techniques on how are you going to write a well-structured report. Okay? So nakafocus dapat yung inyong report doon sa objective nyo or purpose on why you conducted that report or para saan ba yung report na to. Okay? Yan. Okay. So, sabi dito, in writing a report, okay, we define first, ano ba yung tinatawag nating report? A report is a clear, brief, and sharp document which is written for a specific audience and purpose. Okay? So, say for example, na-hire ka sa isang company, pinagawa ka ng report ng boss mo. Okay? So, definitely, para saan ba yung report? Sino ba ang magbabasa? Para kanino ba yung report? Okay? So, dapat daw yung report is clear, okay? Hindi siya vague, no? Yan. Okay. Compared to essays, reports heavily rely on facts. Okay? So, wag na wag kang gagawa ng isang report na basta mo lang siya ginawa. Dapat siya ay nag-based sa figures, based on data, based on facts. Okay? Otherwise, hindi yan kaya nga siya technical writing, no? Based on facts siya or based on figures. So, a report could analyze a problem or issue and suggest solutions and recommendations to resolve it. Okay? So, kung habang ngayon, kayo ay estudyante, pinapagawa kayo ng isang report ng isang say for example, magbibigay sa teacher ng topic, yan. So, for you to be able to submit a report, okay, na inassign sa inyo ng teacher, dapat you are going to conduct a research. At based dun sa nag-gather mong data, ay dapat yung report mo ay based din dun sa facts, figures, and data. Okay? Para pag kayo ay na-hire na, say for example, na-employ kayo sa isang company, yan, pinagawa ka ng report ng boss mo, okay, gawan mo nga ako ng report nung nangyari doon sa error doon sa system. So, hindi ka lang basta-basta magsasabi na eto yung mga nakita mo. Okay? Dapat, based doon sa document, based doon sa nangyari, based doon sa figures or sa nakuha mong result ng system, error, yun din yung gagawin mong report para hindi siya haka-haka. Okay? Yan. So, dapat reports rely on facts. Yan. So, reports may contain all or some of the following. So, some different companies have different formats ng kanilang report. Okay? Iba yung template ni IT, iba yung template ni marketing, iba yung template ni operation, iba yung template ng report ni production. Kasi iba naman yung content nila. Pero most probably, meron silang similarities, no? So, sabi dito, ito daw yung may contain all or some. Number one is description of the situation or event. Yan. Okay? Yan isa sa mga content, okay? Or elements ng isang report. Number two, interpretation of the importance of these events. Para sa ano ba yung importance itong, ano ba yung interpretation nung nangyari? Say for example, error doon sa system. Yan. Assessment doon sa system na na-encounter mo. Okay? And number four, discussion of the feasible outcomes of future actions. Ano yung recommendations mo para ma-resolve yung nangyari doon sa, or error doon sa, or bugs doon sa system. Okay? Number five, ano yung suggestions and recommendations, and ano yung conclusions. So basically, okay, actually karamihan talaga ay pag pinapagawa ka ng isang report, say for example a progress report ng isang payroll system. Okay? So ano bang makikita sa isang progress report ng isang payroll system? Ano yung description ng system? Okay? Ano yung nakita mo based doon sa testing na ginawa mo doon sa system? Yan. Ano yung assessment mo? So, based doon sa assessment mo, ano yung suggestions, ano yung pwedeng maging recommendations mo para ma-resolve yung errors ng isang system? And then, ano yung conclusions mo? So, basically, itong mga elements na to, itong 6 na to, okay, ang makikita, okay, sa isang report. Okay, be it a technical report or a simple report or a progress report. Yeah. So, ito naman yung structure ng isang report. Number one is the abstract or executive summary. Okay? So, pinaka-importante class yung abstract. Dapat maganda yung pagkakagawa. So, kumbaga, siya yung brief description ng isang report. Kasi usually, di ba, pag nagbabasa tayo ng isang research or ng isang report, palaging uunahin natin yung executive summary or abstract. Okay? Kaya sabi dito, most of the readers will scan the abstract or executive summary first. Okay? Now, this gives them an overview on the topic you are writing. Para saan ba yung report na to? Okay? So, the abstract should not occupy more than half the page. So, pwedeng isang page lang siya. Okay? Or half page. Depende sa font size. Depende sa spacing. Okay? Basta dapat within one page lang ang isang abstract or executive summary. Okay? Number two, introduction. So the introduction sets the reader's expectation. Para saan ba tong report na to? Okay? So it should somewhat introduce your conclusions and recommendations. So based doon sa nagather mong report or data. Okay? Number three is the main body. Okay? Now this can be divided into subsections or subtopics. Yan. So present the gist of your topic in the sections. Make sure that the sections are written in a logical order para naman, baka naman kasing hindi siya in logical yung pagkaka-arrange mo ng report mo. So, baka mahilo lang yung, ma-confuse lalo yung reader mo. Okay? So, sabi dito, if experiments are conducted, results and findings are discussed here sa main body. Okay. Number 4 is conclusion. Now, this part shows how you came up with your conclusions. Now, it could also include recommendations for future researchers, or it may also include suggestions on how to improve the topic as well. Okay? So basically, ito yung mga main, okay? Ito yung structure ng isang report. You have the abstract, you have the introduction, you have the main body, which kung yan ay experimental research, nandyan yung results and findings. Kasi sabi ko kanina, okay? Different field, different departments have different formats ng kanilang report. Okay? But most probably, okay, pare-pareho yung kanilang, pwedeng merong, pare-pareho merong introduction, merong body, merong conclusions. Okay? So, yan. Okay, so how are we going to process data? Okay, so sa processing data, okay, this focuses on the data gathering techniques and research methods as well as the ways to identify and solve the research problems defined. Para saan ba yung data? Yan. Paano ba natin i-process yung data? Ano ba yung tinatawag nating data? Okay? So yan. Part 2 to class ng isang research, no? So sabi dito, in conducting a research, it is evident that the idea at hand, that the data at hand is not enough. Importante class sa pag kayo ay gagawa ng research, dapat may makukuha kang data. Otherwise, okay, baka abutin ka ng 10 taon, okay, hindi mo matapos yung research mo. Okay? Kaya dapat, ang palaging tanong pag nagkakandak ng research is, may makukuha ka bang data? Okay? Yeah. So if you're dealing with a real-life situation, you should gather data that appropriate and accurate. Now, there are various ways of collecting information that differ in the time, cost, resources needed to carry out said process. Bakit time? Baka naman kasi yung research mo, abutin ka ng 2 years, 5 years. Cost, travel cost, yung print ng mga materials, yan. Resources, this refers to money also. Okay? So yan. Kasi mahirap ka. Say for example, gumawa ka ng research. Ang venue mo ay yung mga nasa Mindanao. So you have to what? Travel there. Papunta ka ng Mindanao. Okay? That's cost, no? You have to consider the cost. Yan. How long are you going to conduct your data gathering? Makakaya mo bang mag-data gathering ng 7 days, 10 days, 1 month? Yan. Okay? That refers to resources then. Okay? Yan. So some researchers conduct experiments to obtain information. Thus, they are collecting quantitative measurements. So, sabi ko kanina, okay, this is the type of a research wherein you rely on figures, no? Yan. So, if you prefer to accumulate information through survey, ito naman yung options. Number 1, observation, personal interview, or phone interview. Observation, para kang investigator na in-observe mo yung nangyayari sa isang community. Say, for example, okay? Yan. So say for example, ang research mo ay why do senior high students smoke or take drugs? Yun say for example ang research mo. So you're going to what? Observe senior high students na bakit sila nag-smoke. So you have to ask them. You have to observe kailan ba sila nag-smoke. Yan. Personal interview, you have to what? Prepare a sets of questions. Ay, tatanungin mo sila, ano ba yung mga reasons, bakit ka nag-smoke? Yan. Phone interview, kung hindi available yung respondent sa face-to-face, tatawagan mo naman siya. Okay? So, very applicable yung phone interview if you have limited time to finish the research. Okay? So, yan. We also have the mail questionnaire. Say, for example, masyadong malayo yung respondents mo or yung sasagot ng questionnaire mo, pwede mo siyang isend via email or via mail, sorry. Okay? And schedule. Pag sinabi natin schedule, magsaset ka ng time, ng venue, kung kailan ka magkakandak ng survey. Okay? Or magkakandak ng interview. So we have enumerators. Pag sinabi natin enumerators, sila yung nagde-determine kung sino ba yung magiging respondents. Okay? Kasi sila yung mga trained on how to collect information. Okay? So, basically, pag sinabi natin schedule is you have to set time and date kung kailan ka mag-gather ng data. Okay? And we also have, okay, so each type of research, di ba, we have applied, we have empirical, we have qualitative, we have descriptive. Now, sabi dito, each type of research requires different method in gathering, collecting, and analyzing information. So, iba-iba. Okay? So, sabi dito, study of historical records. Okay. Ano ba yung pwedeng technique na gagamitin? Pwedeng note recording, content analysis, film viewing, and analysis. Yan. Sabi ko kanina, gusto mong gusto mong pag-aralan yung nangyari nung World War III, so for example, or panahon ng Hapon. So, pwede kang mag-base sa mga films conducted. Yan. Or pwede kang mag-interview din. Yan. Examination of documents, abstract, reference guide, statistical compilation. Okay? Pwedeng ang method mo naman ay direct observation without participation. Ibig sabihin, mag-observe ka lang. Okay? Observation with participation. Ibig sabihin, ang technique dito ay interactive recording, tape recording, and photograph taking. Say for example, gusto mong mag-conduct ng interview, so dapat yan ay recorded. Okay? Pero dapat you have to ask kung okay lang ba sa kanila na i-record or i-video yung interview. Because we have the Data Privacy Act, no? Yan. Okay, another method is mass observation. So basically, paano mo ito gagawin? Okay, i-record mo yung behavior ng group, okay? And interview by independent observers. Yan. So another method is mail questionnaire. Okay, identify socioeconomic background of the respondents. So pwede mo gamitin to. We also have the personal interview and the phone survey. Okay? So yeah, these are examples of methods, class. Okay? We also have the focused interview. We have the group interview. We have the small group study, yung mga nag-role play analysis. Okay? So paano to gagawin? You can, dito sa focused interview, identify mo lang kung sino yung magiging respondents mo and you have to ask them. Okay? So yan. Ito naman na group interview, sabay-sabay sila. Small groups interviewed simultaneously. Itong, ano pagkakaiba nitong focus sa group? Mag-identify ka lang, say for example, ng 10 respondents and then you have to interview them isa-isa. Okay? So yan. These are the methods and these are the techniques. Examples lang to. Okay? So ito yung mga examples ng methods. Depende na lang kung anong klaseng types of research meron ka. Gagamitin mo. Okay? So, how are we going to analyze, interpret, and organize gathered information? So, sabi dito, after data collection, analysis comes next. So, pag sinabi natin class na data collection, ito yung mag-i-interview ka, magbibigay ka ng survey questionnaire, that's data collection, data processing. Okay? So, after ng data collection, okay, data processing na tayo ngayon. Anong gagawin doon? This process requires interrelated operations like coding, editing, tabulation. Paano i-code? Okay? So say for example, meron kang survey questionnaire. Okay? Si ganitong respondents, ito yung sagot niya sa question number 1. Yan. That's coding. Okay? After mo i-code yun, okay? Say for example, out of 10 respondents, 5 ang sumagot ng yes. Okay? So, yan. Gagawin mo siya, tawag dito, gagamit ka ng yung parang frequency, yan, 5. Okay. And then you are going now to present it into a table para mas makita yung results ng data gathered. Okay? So coding refers to the step where the survey answers are converted to symbols that can be encoded in tables and counted. Editing, okay, it is where you improve the data for coding. Okay? And then tabulation, based on sa na-gather mong data, na-code mong data, na-encode mong data, okay, you are now going to present it in table. Okay? So, say for example, class, ano ba yung tinatawag na survey? Ito ay isang example ng survey. Okay? Survey questionnaire siya for students. So, sometimes, nire-require yung student's name, sometimes hindi. For ethics, research ethics, okay, depende na lang sa respondents kung i-allow niyang ibigay yung kanyang pangalan or hindi. Okay? So, you have the date. Okay? So, gusto mong, say, for example, malaman yung age ng students. Yan. Yung gender niya, male, female. Anong level? Yan. And then, you have here questions. Are you an athlete or belongs to a varsity team? Yes or no? Okay? So, ito yung sample ng survey. Ito yung isang example ng quantitative statistical tools to. Ibig sabihin, ang gagamitin mo dito ay frequency count. Ilan ba ang sumagot ng 8 years old na estudyante? Ilan ba ang male na estudyante? Ilan ba ang grade 4 na estudyante? Okay? Yan. Ilan ba yung involved sa athlete or belongs to a varsity team? So basically, this is an example of quantitative. Okay? Yan. So after mong main code yan, ibig sabihin magbabaldis ka, okay? Bibilangan mo doon sa, say for example, 10 estudyante ang sumagot ay ang age nila is 8. Yan. So that's basically coding. Okay? Yan. Say for example, 8.1. Ang sumagot ng 8 is 5. Okay? 8.1, sumagot ng 9 is 3. So yan, that's coding actually. Okay? So after mo magawa yan, makode mo yung sagot ng students sa questionnaire, you are now going to present or presents your data through a graph or through a tables. So sabi dito, results and findings of the research can be presented through a text, tables, and even to a graphical means. So pwedeng tables, pwedeng graph, or pwedeng text lang. Okay? So for example, in illustrating the total number of students by their gender, you can use a pie chart like this figure. Yan. Say for example dito, okay, sumagot na estudyante ng kanilang gender. Yan. So, paano mo siya i-present sa isang chart? Yan. So, ibig sabihin, 11 yung male, 12 yung female. So, dito pa lang masasabi natin na based doon sa survey, okay, 11 yung babae, 12 yung, 11 yung lalaki, 12 yung babae na respondents. Okay? So, then pa lang malalaman mo kaagad. Okay? So, the final steps in writing the report, you should be keen to ask the details and make sure to follow these guidelines in writing the report. So, ano pang klase ng layout, okay, structure ng yung report is eto. You have the preliminary pages. Ano bang makita sa preliminary pages? Table of contents, list of figures, list of tables. The main text or yung body and the end matter. Okay? So, again, the report should use simple and concise language. It should be objective, not subjective. Pag sinabi nating objective class, okay, dapat yan ay nagre-rely doon sa figures, sa facts, sa data. Kasi pag yan ay subjective, ikaw yan ay nagbabase lang based sa feelings or based sa idea ng researcher. Haka-haka lang yan. Pero pag objective yan, ibig sabihin that is based on data or figures. Okay? Charts, graph, and illustrations in the main report should only be included if they present the data more clearly. So, yun ang ibig sabihin to class. Hindi naman, not necessarily gumamit ka ng charts or graph. Okay? Kung gusto mo lang, kumbaga, para mas mapakita mo ng maayos yung data mo or yung findings or result ng inyong research or report, you can use chart or graph. Okay? But not all the time. Kasi sometimes, through text description is okay na. Okay? So, yan.